Hey rail fans, Train Guy here again, and part 6 of our grand tour of the routes continues today with, or this evening, afternoon, whatever it is, with Germany. We're on the last leg, more or less now. We're not going to do winter again though, because I had enough of that yesterday. Back to nice summertime weather, I think, for this. So we're going to be going south down the S9 line, which if we'd arrived in Berlin from Toronto, which is the only really way I can think you would link the two, you would catch a flight from Toronto where we ended up. One of the ways you might choose to head south if you wanted to do the whole touristy thing, you could do it via hopping on and off S-Bahn trains, things like that. So we're going to be taking a service that goes as far as Leipzig, where you would change over for a train to Munich, hence transit to Munich. So we'll do the S-Bahn first part, and then we'll do the last stretch of the journey into Hamburg, and something a little bit faster, a little later on. But cracking on. Hi Chris Hart, good to see you, man. Hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. Welcome, mate. So we're going to do this in the 182 because I love the 182. And it is going to be one that I've pre-scouted because I have had too many issues on this route in the past with things going wrong that shouldn't have, to not scout them out first of all. So we're only going as far as Leipzig-Konowitz, or Leipzig-Konowitz, however you pronounce it. I'm afraid I'm not very good at that stuff. Leipzig being where you would change over to an express headed south to Munich. So we joined the service I think we actually join at not Magdeburg, we join at, is it? It's Dessau or some place like that we joined the service at. It's been a long time. Very long time. I mean, I did the scouting run on this back when I was planning these routes a few weeks ago, but apart from that, I've barely driven these things. First German train of the year, I think. What could possibly go wrong? For some reason the TGV splash screen always makes me want to go and play Farming Simulator. Right, so I just need a moment to mentally run through all the stuff what I need to do in this thing again. Right, I think we're good to go. So, master switch to neutral, let's get us some door action going. The doors do take a the passenger loading is, oh, it's going quite quickly actually. Oops, I want the internal cameras, I want to look, oh hell, I want to look under the desk, right hand side, PZB's in mode O. I want to look under the desk, left hand side, AFB switches up there. That's all good, don't worry too much about the flashing lights. What else do I need to do? Oh yeah, destination. Put the power on and then just find the button that says destination, show current scheduled, and it'll automatically fill that in for you. Oh, make sure to start the train line power up actually before you turn that on. Right, think everything's fine.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Go, 4 new routes, man. Nice. Right, now if I remember to do everything, we should have lights, destinations, tail lights, passenger lights are all on. Oh right, I'm quite impressed with myself at remembering all that, considering how long it's been since I've touched this thing. Might have to concentrate a lot on this one.
Sifa, Sifa.
So racking my memory, I think we're 120 for a lot of the way down here, and we're not stopping at that many stations. We do bypass a few of them, and we do get a fair run at there's a 160 stretch a bit further down as we get closer to the city itself. I seem to remember this thing being fairly easy to get stopped, so we'll find out. Oh yeah, it's braking nice and easy. That's going to be a doddle to get stopped. The head and arrows just above the speedo in the HUD. Ah, right, yeah, I know the thing you mean. Let me get the train stopped, and I'll show you what that is. That is basically saying to you that the control stick is attached to the driver controls at the moment. I'll show you what I mean. Oh, it's been a while, I'm a little rusty with this. Right. So that icon's more important when you're in these kind of views. What it's basically telling me is that at the moment the control sticks, if I move my left joystick on my pad, see how the master switch thing comes up in the corner there? So that's telling me left stick driver controls. Switch to camera mode and it changes into the little drone. My left stick now flies the helicopter. So it's just so you can tell at a glance what mode the left stick is in, because there is nothing worse than thinking at 120 miles an hour, I'll just move that camera back a bit, and boof, you've whapped the reverser into neutral or something. Some trains will allow you to move the master switch when you're underway, by the way. It's not always a pleasant experience. But that's what that little icon is for. It's essentially telling you what the left joystick is doing on your pad. Hi Wolfman, good to see you again, man. I'm well, thanks. You? Right, Locky, let's get underway. There's 7 kilometres to the next station and 4 minutes to do it. Yes, I do use legacy controls. That might be why you're seeing that. I can't get to grips with the new control system at all, mate. I think being left-handed is part of my problem. I find using the right stick to aim that camera, especially when the thing's bouncing about and you're trying to do something really delicate like change the AFB mode over in an ICE3. I find it next to impossible to do it with the new controls, which is a shame because I really like the idea of the new controls. They just they've not quite nailed it for me.
Sifa, 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 20.
I sometimes forget when I'm playing with the camera that the Q button on the keyboard doesn't work anymore. I have to use the one on the pad, the circle button. So I give myself a little Zifa thing there. No, I haven't seen the Southeastern high speed screenshots yet, Wolfman. I'm going to assume that's the news item on the Dovetail Live thing that just wouldn't load up for me. Sometimes it takes a while for it to be up there before it feeds through to me for some reason, I find.
Sifa.
Yeah, if they could find a way to integrate the precision, like switching over so I could have a cursor. That's the killer, being locked into that one way of doing it. I would quite like to be able to just, you know, click my right stick and, oh look, I've got a cursor again, great. That's helpful.
Sifa.
Right, Oak Station coming up, I should probably pay some attention, eh? Nice. And we're back on time as well. Lovely jubbly. The musical train. I think that is actually its nickname. Ah, go for it, man. The question away. I might not know the answer, but I'll give it a bash. They still use 2020. To be honest, I haven't gone back. I ended up uninstalling it to make room on the system for something else, and I can't say that I've really felt that I'm missing anything. I mean, there's a few things you've probably found yourself. Some of the sounds need rebalanced and things like that. There's a few annoying bits and pieces, but what Train Sim World 2 brings I'd much rather have that and wait for them to fix a few annoying things with the sound, stuff like traction and that kind of thing. Um, Makes a huge difference. So, showstoppers. Oh, I don't know. I mean, everything just sort of looks and feels a little bit better than it did before. Oh, I forgot to turn my throttle off. Right, so there we go. We're losing some of that time that we made up earlier on. TGV's quite good, it has to be said. 330 kilometres an hour is quite fun as it goes. So it's a fair old run to the next station, about 6 kilometres, but I have a funny feeling that there's a speed limit trap around there somewhere. Because this was one of the areas that used to be a problem when the PZB was still a bit buggy and broken back in the old days. So time of morning that we're out, we should see a reasonable amount of opposite traffic. Hi Jaffa, welcome mate. Chris, I'm still on the PS4 mate. I wasn't that fussed to be honest with you getting on the ground floor. It's on my hit list for the new year at some point. Well, this year now I guess.
Sifa, Sifa.
To be honest, I had it all uninstalled even before all the preserved stuff came over, because once I'd had a taste of things like traction and LZB, I found it quite difficult to go back. And then by the time the preserved stuff trickled on to TSW2, I hadn't played some of it in so long, it actually felt really quite fresh. There's that speed trap that I very nearly missed because I was too busy looking at my other screen there. I only glanced up just in time. This is where knowing what the trackside stuff means, because it was only because I caught a glimpse of the orange signpost coming up that I realised what I was driving into. With having done so much running with no PZB recently, is it's easy to get into bad habits. Hey Brian, welcome, good to see you again, my pal. Sorry, I'm just watching for the rogue pedestrians that you sometimes get around here. I know they're only wee pretendy computer people, but oh, I hate it when they walk out in front. Right, here we go. Yeah, Chris, the adhesion really makes a difference in the weather. As I discovered yesterday, coming down Sandpatch in a blizzard, in a very heavy train that I may not have temporarily lost complete control of. Yeah, absolutely, really makes things marginal on PZB. I usually knock 5k or so off the running speed in the wet just to give myself that extra little half second or so. Jaffer, do I have a PS4 Min keyboard? I've just got a bog standard, cost me a fiver out of Curry's USB keyboard, mate. And yeah, it makes all the difference, if I'm being honest with you. Especially for a train like this, because I can reach all the different controls I need to at the same time. Less messing about with holding down buttons to open menus and things, and even the menus you do have to use for the doors, you know, hitting tab then a cursor key is just much more fluid than moving a cursor around with a thumbstick, I think. So yeah, my advice would be keyboard, total game changer. And for doing this, hey! Much easier, because you've got all the controls for it just under your right hand there. Right, probably shouldn't go too fast actually, because we're about to go into another station. Hey Zygol, new to this game, the mission Cumberland to Willard. Oh, to be honest, I've not done that many of the scenarios. And the few I did were ages ago. I know there were some bugs with some of the scenarios on that, but oh, I don't know. I would need to know more specifically what the problem is, I think, I'm afraid. But American railways aren't really my thing that I know a lot about when it comes to the signals and stuff like that. Is it a scenario or is it a scheduled timetable service? Because if it's the scenario, it's usually just because it's you've done something in the wrong order. They like you to do everything very specific orders in the scenario. I've had problems with the German trains before where I've turned on a safety system it didn't tell me to, and I've knackered things up. I found myself stuck at the wrong end of the train because I went down to the other cab to play with something that the game didn't tell me to play with. So it is, the only advice I would give you for doing the missions is only do exactly what it tells you and nothing else, because it tends to get very upset otherwise. You can confuse it quite easily. But I don't do a lot of the scenarios, to be honest. I spend most of my time in timetable mode, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. Just check throttles off, so that saves us a second or two when we're getting ready to go again. The only thing I would say about the PS4 mini tablet keyboard, and I think I said this to somebody the other day, is, and I'll try and make this as unboring as I can, but for the keyboards work because Train Sim World 2 has somewhere in it a lookup table for each of the 140 or so different standard PC keyboard layouts in the world, and that information has been transferred over to the console version of the game. If Dovetail Games have not specifically put in the what's the word for it? It's like a lookup table of what each button's supposed to make it do, basically. If the table for that very specific keyboard has not been put in, you might find that not everything works properly. So my advice with the PS4 mini keyboard before you go and spend any money on it would be try and get a hold of one first, or find somebody who's got one and has used it with this game, because unless the game's been specifically told to use it, I don't know. It might work. If the PS4 mini keyboard's just copying the lookups for the, you know, a standard IBM keyboard of some other type, then it should be fine. But I have no idea, with it being a proprietary Sony thing, that might not be the case. Why have I got a horrible feeling I've missed the speed limit sign or something? If it's in the wet, try sand. Just hold the sand button down till you get a bit of traction, and just try avoiding full power. You get wheel slip if you put full power on too early. You need to kind of build the power up more gradually on bad conditions. If you just go straight into max power at low speed, you're going to be really toiling for traction. And some of the locomotives have got a button for lead axle sanding in the cab as well. You might find that helps a wee bit to turn that on. That stays on. The main sanding button, you have to hold it down for as long as you want it to deliver, but the lead axle one will stay on for a while by itself. Oh, I don't want to stop short because I'm on a really short train as it is. That's probably fine. It's a really short platform actually, so I didn't want to stop too far back. Oh, I'd have been fine actually. Cheerio! Right, let's get going again. I don't know if remote play on a tablet adds another layer of of difficulty on it either, to be honest. I'm not that tech savvy, I'm afraid. Oh, Zygol, I'm sorry man, don't worry about it. The reason you find this English so difficult is because this English is Scottish. Most people in Britain have difficulty understanding this, so don't worry. Right, flashy signal ahead. I was expecting something like that to pop up, so we'll just start reducing, see what it wants us to do. So it wants us under 60. So even though the actual track speed limit changes 1500 metres down the track, we've been told by that signal be at 60 by the next main. And effectively you just reduce there and then. Ah, got you now, right, my mistake. What I said still stands though. Well, I don't understand me half the time.
Sifa.
Okay, so that's just the repeater, doesn't need any acknowledgement, neither does this one I don't think. I don't see any magnets on the track next to it, and there's no black and white board on it, so you can just cruise on by. The next one does need an acknowledgement, I think, though, because that is a main.
Zugbeeinflussung.
What that's telling us is that beyond the 60 there's another speed limit of 100 kilometres an hour, whereas I think the track limit's actually about 120. That's just to get us across a junction, and then we join the quick bit of the line down to Leipzig. This is actually quicker than I remember it being. Hey Samson, good to see you, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Maybe a little bit early on the reduction there. The thing to remember with any German train is as long as you've got it down to 60 kilometres or so before you're within 200 metres of the stopping point, you're going to make it. Because that's your PZB distances. It has to be able to stop within that distance. So took me a long time to realise that. I've got way past where it wanted me to stop actually. I've got a habit of aiming for platform ends. I wonder if I've gone past the stop completely. No, that's fine. I do have a bad habit sometimes when I drive a short train on these routes. I'm sometimes guilty of going all the way down to the end when I should be at the board halfway down. Oops. You do with Sir Alex Ferguson. So we're running a little bit behind time again, but we might be able to gain some of that back. It's a funny route this, you can lose and gain time quite easily at different bits of it. And there's some really fun services when you're heading northbound where you follow a train all the way up. You both set off from Konowitz within a couple of minutes of each other, and you end up getting yellow signals all the way through the tunnel section and beyond. It's quite challenging, but very, very good fun when you nail it. Right. Onwards. So the L is just to signify we're going down the Leipzig line. That's for the driver's information, telling you which main line you're going to be winding up on as you come out of here. Oh, bloody PZB. I completely forgot I was under... because we stopped under it. Of course. Right, not the end of the world, just clear it, reset your controls. And it's as simple as that. We're underway again. The brakes will just take a little minute to unwind. That was completely my fault. Just make completely sure it's released this time. Full welly, right. Oops. I can be on time on Tees Valley. Sometimes. Sometimes there's nothing you can do, because there are some of those services where you catch signals at various points and you have to slow down, and there's just nothing you can do about it. But signals permitting, I can do the Tees Valley on time. Yeah, that was just the regular routine emergency stop demonstration. Distance clear, so we're nothing to worry about. I like this wee section of the track, it's very roller coastery. So again, if you're new to using PZB, you always have to remember the signal display at the screen might be telling you you've got 2 kilometres to your next signal, but you'll have one somewhere on the approach to it as well. Easy thing to forget when you're first starting out. There it is there. Now those are the important ones, because those are the ones that you normally have to respond to as well. Now the reason PZB stopped me there was because we'd stopped under the influence of PZB. It was expecting me to stay under 40 kilometres an hour until I either released it or it released me, one or the other, and I completely forgot. I went above 45 and it decided not today, sunshine. Purely because I didn't pay attention to my my instruments as I was leaving the station. You have to watch as well, because the desk lights on this machine don't always work properly. You have to kind of rely on the one in the HUD a little bit. And if the two of them disagree for any reason, just hit the reset button and see what happens. That usually fixes it. Oh, the Bakerloo's great fun now. That one is difficult to keep time on. Hella good fun though. So whenever you see those signboards at the side of the track there, the ones that look like motorway distant boards, they don't have any fixed meaning. As in, when you see those, it's not, there is definitely going to be a signal at the end of this, or there is definitely going to be a speed limit. What they're basically there is to tell you there's something at the end of them. They're just, you know, start paying attention, look ahead now, if you're not already. But you can find them on the approach to several different types of thing. And they're counting off the meters basically to the approach and whatever it may be. So we're stopping at Delitzsch, whatever it is. We're coming in a little bit hotter this time because we're doing the full 160, so we'll start slowing down from a little bit further out. Remember, you can cover 200 meters in the time it takes you to move a lever from one position to the other. So there we go, you saw it, you can leave most of your braking. From 100 kilometers an hour, I've stopped in under 250k, comfortably I might add. I'm going to have to lift off before the the end of the platform, in fact. That can be done in most German trains. All of them can do it from 80, most of them can do it from 100. So if you get into trouble, don't panic, just stay calm. Heavy brakes without accidentally tripping the emergencies, and you'll be absolutely brand new. So, we are running a little bit behind time now, we should be underway already. Although considering I stopped dead in the middle of the line. See if we could get back any of the time we lost under that stop. I'm not so sure now because we're going into the really stoppy starty section. And we're not going the full length either, we're only going as far as Konowitz, which is that's not a huge amount of distance to go beyond there, but every little bit would have been ground to gain up. Being really sloppy and unprepared for my starts like that's not going to help either, quite frankly. So, visual check on PZB, all looks good. Really, it is good practice to always just check it when you leave a station. And the frustrating thing is I normally do. I usually am quite careful about that because I am so scatterbrained.
Sifa.
I'm just wondering what disasters await us on the ICE3 that I've not driven since before Christmas. If I couldn't even do one that I should theoretically know like the back of my hand by now. Blimey, this is basically one of the locomotives that I learned PZB on, because I was very much still a learner to it when this dropped. That was a fairly poor show on my part. See, all those open fields, those just what make me want to go and play with tractors and farming sim again. That's my current addiction. I legitimately did have to force myself to come and do this stream today because I don't know how long we've got left now until high speed what's it arrives, and that's kind of the whole point of this. I dare say that novelty will wear off eventually, it always does. Always end up back on my beloved rails again in the end. Don't we all?
Sifa.
Yeah, the ICE drives itself until the bit where it most definitely is not driving it itself. It's not even the bit where it's not driving itself that's got me concerned, it's that in-between bit where you have to sort of swap everything over by hand that's got me mildly worried. But we'll be fine. Right, to Ratcliffe. That was a bit too early, I think. Shit, that would have been quite a nice stop if I'd been on time. On the road, not heard of that. What's that, mate? That's that has a distinctly lorry drivery sound to it. You know, like the one genre we're really missing a really good entry on. Well, that and flight simulators, but although speaking of trucking games, that truck driver game, if you can get it on a sale for like say 10-12 quid, it's probably worth it. I do have it. Don't pay £40 for it, but it is actually really good as a budget game. It's actually really quite good. The truck driving, the handling is superb, the traffic is incredible, there's just bugger all else there. Right, I might have to look up this on the road, because at the moment the best option we've got, while decent if you can pick it up cheap, is not really a very deep or broad game. What I want from a trucking game is I want like a big map to drive trucks around on, but I want something in the background, like where you're having to buy your own equipment and run, you know, the run your own haulage company sort of side of it. That is completely absent from Truck Driver. If you ever play Big Mother Truckers back on the PS2 though, you're gonna absolutely bloody love it. It's that without the cartoon without the cartoon mother, basically. I'll have a look at that, Jaffer. Thanks for the heads up, man. I appreciate the tip there. I tell you, another really off the wall suggestion for a sim that might surprise you and pull you in is that Barents Sea fishing one that somebody on this stream told me about a long time ago. And I got so hooked into that early on in the lockdown, like properly hooked into that. I have occasionally thought about streaming other simulators like farming and fishing and like not fishing rod fishing, like big huge fucking ships dragging nets and things through the sea fishing. I have occasionally thought about doing other stuff, but I feel that at this point I've kind of become a one-trick pony. Bus Simulator as well, I love that game, fucking adore that game. I just finished off the last of the Sonstein missions for that the other day. So I've got a fully up and running bus network with like 100 and odd buses, one of everything on there that I could potentially open up. Right, coming up for a station, and we're at line speed again, so we'll start the deceleration. We'll not brake yet, unless the signal's come up. Now we'll start with the brakes. Still half. Remember, 500 meters is it's still half a kilometer. When you say it that way, it sounds like you're a lot further away than you think. There we go. That's more like it. So just gentle braking. This, of course, is the problem with this kind of route hopping thing that I'm doing. Is I'm going from train to train to train to train, and they're all completely different characteristics. They've all got their own little foibles. And I'm forgetting all the pitfalls in discovering all the traps on all of them, more or less so far. Okay. It's actually quite good. I mean, manage your expectations going into it, but it's quite therapeutic because there's a lot more going on than I thought. Like when you start catching the fish, there's all these mini games. Well, I call them mini games, but there's things you have to do at each part of the process. You don't have to. You can have crew members do them for you. Or you can do them yourself, but stuff like pulling the lines out the water and then gutting the fish and things, you actually have to interact with it all, and it makes reasonably good use of the control pad to do it, to the point where it is sort of, you know, you can get good at it, and it does influence. The better you get at it, it has an influence on your earnings and things like that. Expect long periods of sitting twiddling your thumbs is the only thing. It can be a bit slow paced, but then I'm talking to a train simulator fan, so you know, we're already good at that. All of Germany, holy shit! Right, yeah, I'm sold. Shut up and take my money. Right, so we're. I need to focus a wee bit here because I seem to remember speed limits and things coming up. So we're on a 120, but we're about to cross go through a set of junctions basically that take us into the tunnels through Leipzig. So I'm expecting to see signals ahead. Got a flashing green, so that's reduced speed. And it's to 90. Now you notice nothing happened when I pressed acknowledge because the speed limit we're reducing to was above 85, so it doesn't do anything. Usually, although weirdly the one further back where you go from a 60 into a 100, you do need to acknowledge that one. But I think that's because you're already under monitoring. And of course that 90 is by the next main signal mast. And that's because we're leaving this line, we're going off down this junction here. Right, when you say coming out 11.2, is that... You mean that's coming out on the 11th of February? Oh, holy shit, I'm about to miss a station here. Oh wow, that's awesome. definitely going to go and look that up once we're done here.
Zugbeeinflussung.
So I've got that down to be more or less exactly a minute behind time now. Alright, so from here we're going down into the tunnels, and then we're only doing I think 2 stops after that. Come on, passengers. Do you know, you should really be able to just button up and go. I wish there was a more flexible solution to this. Like, if you drive through, it just docks you loads and loads of points. If you don't stand still for a minimum of 30 seconds, you lose X amount of points. You know. Oh, I've already locked everything. See, talking and doing stuff doesn't work at the same time. But I would dearly like the option to be able to, as they do in real life, just sometimes go, nope, not stopping there this time.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Right, thank you for that, my man. I'm going to be looking that up later on. Now, can anybody tell what I almost did there? I think I'm actually under normal. I think I can go up to... See, the problem is, because the desk light doesn't work in this, I'm never 100% certain if I'm in restricted or not. Because I don't have the flash in 85, 70 or 55 to tell me what mode it's in.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Right. Hey Neil, welcome, good to see you.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Hey Super Sprinter, how are you mate? No, long time no see. Good to see you. The answer to the question, no idea I'm afraid, sorry. I know what everybody else does when it comes to release dates, I'm afraid. Right, that was an unintentionally nice, neat and tidy stop. think I'm slipping slightly further behind time with each station. Practice does indeed make perfect, and it has been a while. I didn't actually do the scouting run in this thing either. I did it from the cab car end, which makes it different enough to be different. That was really made no sense, but you know what I meant. I think. But I want to keep the cab car for something else. For now. Oh yeah, southeast is going to be good. I reckon we'll have it within a fortnight. Just my prediction. I don't think they'll do the full 2-week lead for announcing it this time. I've got a feeling this is going to be one of those ones that they almost stealth drop on us out of the blue. Because they've done that with one before. They announced it like, boom, there it is. I can't remember which one that was. But there was only about a week and a bit between announce and release. I think that might have been when they targeted up Rapid Transit and gave us this thing actually. But just because it's been so long since we've had anything as well, I think they're going to want to get it out as soon as they're all back at work, basically. Because we've not had a new route now for what? A few weeks. I think we're beyond the normal sort of time between routes now. Is what I'm trying to get at. I think. Crazy when you think about it, man. This is them. They drive full-size mainline trains through tunnels under the city. It's awesome. Right. I think there might be one more underground station to stop in. I think we're going to need PS5 for that very reason sooner than they're maybe letting on, Samson. I think the extra memory is the way forward for this game, and it was always going to happen. They're not going to support PS4 forever. But it's taken them so long to fix this Augsburg route out on the current gen that I've got a feeling it's just going to be a matter of time before they go, well, we either stop building or we move on to the next tier of hardware. Anyway, we need to accept that the technology inside our PlayStation 4s is nearly a decade old at this point. funny thing is, this tunnel's that big, it actually doesn't feel like the London Underground sometimes feels faster just because you're so close to the wall and the ground. I've noticed that coming through here before. It doesn't feel as fast as a much smaller train does. But I think that's for the very reasons, of course, that I just gave. So that stop right there, that 5-second window, Jaffa was asking about keyboards earlier on. Inside that tiny little window, without moving my hands, I was able to close my AFB, close my throttle, apply the brakes, acknowledge my my CIFA going on, and have my hand ready to open the doors as soon as the thing is stopped. Did all that with a few finger movements inside the space of what? Probably no more than 3 or 4 seconds if you go back and check that later on. So there's the advantage your keyboard gives you straight away in situations like that. Not impossible to do all that on the control pad, but I find that I suddenly just feel like I'm button mashing and then I get confused and things go wrong, or I hit the wrong buttons on the pad. Oh, I didn't have my... Idiot, I keep forgetting to close my throttle lever off when I stop. Of course, it's been quite a long time since I've used AFB. Now I think about it. So this can be a tricky station to get the stop right at sometimes in either direction, just because of the slope it's on. You either end up stopping short because you braked too early on the way up, or you left it too late on the way down, and the same thing happens to you. You end up going long off the end of the platform. So in fact, exactly the opposite thing happens to you, but you end up in roughly the same spot either way. And we're going immediately into a 40 up ahead, we can see from the signal. Hey Fraser, oh, freight exchange, Christ, I did that. It is completable, I can tell you that much. Because I'm pretty sure I've done it. I would need to run it though again to see what happens in the middle. Usually if you get caught with traffic like that, with all the best will in the world, it's often because you're running really, really late and the AI traffic's got ahead of where it's anticipated you're going to be, or you're really, really early and you just need to wait for something to happen. Either or will do that, because it's all scripted and timetabled and stuff like that. But the problem is without seeing exactly what went wrong and where, it's just pure guesswork, and we all know there are a million things that can happen in this game to make things go the way they shouldn't. I'm trying to think which one Freight Exchange is. I can't even remember. The name rings a bell, and I know that I have done all the RSN scenarios because I can do all of those with the classic controls. In fact, I did them all in the old Train Sim world. Now you think about it, so oh, they might have invented a new bug for this version of the game. Now you think about it. pick it up a little bit because the 40 doesn't actually start until the signal.
Seafahrt.
This is all timetabled so that if you're running on time you can actually come round here just at 40 from the last signal. Like just reduce when you see it kind of thing and you'll be fine. But we're obviously running behind time because of my little unfortunate incident earlier. Yeah, the AI dispatcher is not very good at dealing with you not being where the game thinks that you should be. Sometimes. As a wise man observed once, too much A, not enough I. So we're coming in under a caution signal as well, so just keep your eye open for the 500 hertz coming on, but we're already below the speed limits because of or we're below the PZB limits because the temporary speed limit is below. Well, that wasn't too terrible considering how rusty I am with these things. There we go, there's the 500 on. Yeah, there's loads of wee things that they don't really tell you how to do in the manual. A lot of things you find out just by clicking on them and seeing what happens next. Well, now this seems to be an extra long stop. And the German trains especially have all these buttons and switches that do stuff that they don't really tell you. You can cause yourself all sorts of interesting problems by just pressing stuff on these trains. Doubly helped by the fact I don't understand the language, so I don't know what the hell the labels on the buttons actually mean. I don't even know what they are half the time. So that's as far as we can take this line, and for the purposes of our little journey, the way you would connect here is you would have to grab a bus or another train back to the main station in Leipzig, the one that the S2 didn't go through. One of the underground ones we went through might have a direct, like, be part of, if I remember, but it's been a long time since I read up on this route. I do usually do a wee bit of reading about a route when it arrives, just so I know a little bit about the area that we're driving through and things like that. I like to know these things. But you would get a train to the main station in Leipzig, or a bus over there, and you would board an express to Munich. I did click main menu there, didn't I? I've got a horrible feeling I just pressed replay the bloody mission for some reason. Oh no, main menu, that's fine. I've got the stream on a slight delay on another screen next to me and I just saw it come up. We're good. I don't like having that surround PlayStation offers you for looking at comments and things. It's too distracting for me to have it all on one monitor. So, might as well get the jankiest one out the way now, eh? Don't get me wrong, love the route, but there's so much jank on it, and I wish there wasn't. Because see, if you look at the videos of this on the PC with all the different services running, man, wow, this looks like it's actually maybe the best route in the game. No, for us though. I mean, it's good, it's fast, and it is one of the routes, so it's going on the tour. But well, this is very much a get it over and done with one. And the only choice is the ICE for the full length of the route. And as you can see, I spent quite a lot of time playing with the ICE3. I quite like this train. So we need an inbound to Munich. So say you'd whiled away a lunchtime in Leipzig before you got on the train. Yeah, not unreasonable would be arriving, what, late afternoon, early evening. It's only an hour and a half, 2 hours I think, between the two. Now, do we want one stopping or do we want an all straight through? I think I'd kind of prefer a straight through, to be honest with you. Oh, stuff it, let's do a stopping. Let's be brave. In fact, it's one I've not done. Now, is that because that's the only one with a bug, or is it just one I've not got around to doing? I don't remember this ever actually, like, stopping me at a red or anything like that. I will give it a go. What's the worst that could happen, eh? Now there is a beastie of a train. The TGV. Love it. So many nuclear horsepowers. It's awesome. Right, so we're driving the eastbound ICE Intercity Express service to München HBF, stopping at München Passing. Sounds easy enough. Let's find out, shall we? So, starting off, reverser to forward, I think platforms to the left, so those will be the doors we want. So to turn the train lights inside the cabin on, press 5 again, and then press 0 to take you back to this screen. I do remember that much. To set your destination, it's upper display, hit that button twice, press E to enter the data entry mode, and then just find the destination you want, E to enter it, and then UD to go back to this screen. And the last thing we'll do is we'll pop our AFB on, and then just build yourself back to this this screen here. I probably murdered that word as well. I'm really sorry. And in this little cupboard under here is where all the Funstoppers live. So LZB going on. PZB, and Zifa. No, this I love. I love doing this. Bye bye. Like you would turn the opaque thing on at night and stuff when you don't want light from the cab flooding into the cockpit or the driver's cab. So what we were doing there is we were turning on the lights and setting up. I can find one, these little destination boards here. Oh, we're nearly ready to go as well. So this train's actually originated from Wiesbaden, which I don't know if that's one we could have actually got on. We would have connected to probably a train coming from Berlin or Nuremberg would have been what you would have connected to, but not to worry. I'm not trying to like RP this or anything. I'm trying to make them make sense why we would go in them in the order we're going in them. I know that a lot of people do these kind of things and they get right into the roleplay part of it, and that's not really my jam. Don't get me wrong, I play a lot of games that way, but I'm not sitting doing it on the internet for other people. So I'm releasing myself from PZB. Reason for is that that's not a terminal station, and we probably would have arrived there under clear conditions, so we would not be leaving under PZB generally. Under normal circumstances you should not release it unless you're absolutely certain that there will not be an active magnet for at least 756 meters, I think it is, of track beyond where you are. So you really need to know the signal layout of the immediate area before you turn it off. Again, one of these things that the game won't punish you for doing. It's one of these things that if you want to play it that way, a bit more accurately, realistically, what have you. Oh, dearie me, yes. Here we go. Do you know, I had a lot of fun with the American trains in the last couple of streams, because I've not really done much driving with American routes recently. And sand patch in the snow, that was so much fun. I really did enjoy that when I lost control of the brakes and what have you. Incredibly good. Love the baby bullet. That Pt.6 is just an absolute beast of a thing. The M7's great fun to drive. I love a little sort of commutery metro-y type train. Always have done, always will do. And you know, the GP9 has got a feel of the old. It's just got that old nostalgic feel to it. I had great fun with them, but do you know what? I really missed 150 miles an hour. I'm not gonna lie. I really missed that. Because unusually I've not actually been playing a lot of off-stream Train Simulator off late. I'm not getting any sound from my LZB. It is turned on, that's weird. Maybe I was just busy talking when it buzzed. Oh, a wall happened there. The outside cameras can end up giving you a headache along this route because it's so boxed in a lot of the way. Where we pile up earth embankments around our railways and put trees, steel fences, as you can see, in Germany they just put a wall up. Which is, it's as much there actually as a sound baffle as it is to keep people off the railways. Because you'll notice as soon as whenever you're in a built-up area on these high-speed lines, you've got the wall, and then as soon as you're out into the more rural area, the walls tend to stop being a thing. And they put them between the lines as well sometimes. There's loads of houses and stuff over on the left there. It's an oft-repeated myth that I've heard. I've seen it on forums and things a few times. They don't have fences on the French and German railways. Yeah, they do. Lots of them. I don't know where that myth comes from. As I've started spending more time hanging around railway people, or online certainly, I've seen that pop up a few times. I've got no idea where it comes from. It usually seems to come up in arguments about whether or not we should slow down trains for trespassers on the line for some reason. It's the strangest thing. Hey, Death! Welcome to the stream, man. Good to see you. Oh, we've already had our Zugby Einflussungen. I was thoroughly Zugby Einflussunged earlier on. With a bit of Schwammschwerung thrown in for good measure. All good though, all part of the fun. Oh, it's just a shame this line feels so deserted until you get to within about 25-30 kilometres of Munich, and then suddenly the S-Bahn stuff starts appearing. If you get it at the right time, it's actually really good. There is quite a lot of it around sometimes, but if you get it at the wrong time, knocked out by a migraine. Ah, shit, man, that's not good. Sorry to hear that, dude. Yeah, those, I can sympathise with that entirely, man. Those are brutal things. Well, take it easy, my dude. It's a horrible way to spend the day. You've got my deepest sympathies, and I hope you're feeling better. Shake that thing as soon as you can, man. I don't know why I'm paying so much attention to the signals at this point, because they're not really relevant to me. Really all you need to do at this point is be ready to acknowledge your CIFA when it goes off. Ah, glad to hear it, mate. There is a station down here somewhere, and I can't remember exactly where it is, but it just kind of pops into existence as we go through it. Ah, see, silver linings, man. Always a silver lining. Still mildly concerned about not hearing that PZB alarm, LZB alarm going off earlier on. I might have to just pay extra special attention to everything as we approach the end of the zone. Should be somewhere around here we start seeing S-Bahn traffic. Hey Camille, welcome to the stream. Now, there's a 200 mile an hour, 200 mile, 200k zone coming up ahead. I think it's about 8 kilometres to go yet, according to the gauges there on the HUD. That white number counting down from 7 to 8, that's your distance to whatever LZB is looking at or focused on. We might even see another train shortly. Because I think we're in S-Bahn territory now. I think this is the station that magically pops into existence along here. There we go. Whee! Oh no, that's the whole city that just pops into existence. Okay. Hey, there we go. Whee! Oh, the LZB's got us on a braking curve now, so coming up to something. The red G, I don't remember what the word actually is. It just means it's now in the braking curve. This might be a fairly swift transition out of the LZB zone. Actually, I honestly cannot remember. So I'm just going to pre-arm the AFB screen down here. Can remember which button it is. Oh, it's button number 9, isn't it? Ooh, stuttery, stuttery. Right, so still got a bit of distance to run to the 160, I think. Better to be prepared though. It's been a while since I've done this. Hey Zedgy, class 20. The view from the windows. I didn't really have a problem with it. I think the sound is it's the glitchy sound is the biggest annoyance with 20 for me. It's not something I've driven a huge amount of. I quite liked it. It's the view from the window facing the what you would call the long hood end on an American locomotive. The view out of those windows is absolutely piss poor, and that's the reason why they actually operate in pairs, because in real life the drivers couldn't see. They were dangerous, which is why they always run as much as possible, they ran them as pairs from the sorry, I'm just now got about 3 things to do in very short, quick succession. That's fine. Yeah, so the view from those windows is supposed to be atrocious if you mean the little tiny corner ones, but that's why they were fitted with a second desk facing the back of the unit. Right, look at that, managed to remember it all by myself. I'm now back in control of the train. That wasn't too painful. Yeah, the small window's supposed to look rubbish, mate. That's entirely accurate to the real machinery. Thing is, that was the first generation of diesel electric designed to replace steam engines, and it was designed by engineers who knew how to design steam engines. And the cab design very much reflects it was designed by people who were used to designing steam engines. But what the engineers didn't consider was that they were putting them on a cab and not an open footplate like on a steam engine, so it wasn't so easy for the driver to just lean over a little bit and look around the side. So yeah, don't be too flummoxed by it. It's there's only I think 1 or 2 services or scenarios that have you driving it that way, and most of the time that was not the way they were operated. Oh, here's the invisible station that pops into existence as you drive through. See, it's stuff like that that really just that's really immersion breaking to a horrible degree. Right, this is a bit like the TGV when you're stopping from any kind of speed. This is the one thing about stopping at München passing, is unlike the other stops you'll do in the ICE where you're at the end of the line and the signals will kind of slow you down on the way in, you have to judge the stop for yourself, and the brakes on it, they're not the strongest brakes you're ever going to use. They're not quite as spongy as the ones on the TGV, but they're not that far behind it. This is certainly a train. While the same rule of thumb about 250 metres and 60 odd k will work, I would not recommend trying it in this train. I had to do it once by accident, and it was very close. Oh no, it's not the signal I'm stopping at, is it? It's we're going down to the end. But we're well early. Do you know, I've just realised I didn't have my headlights on at all. Naughty, naughty. Don't have to go all the way up to the end, we're plenty comfortably on. Smooth.
Türen geöffnet.
Let's get out and have a little look, shall we? While we've got a small amount of time. Imagine this, but with like more traffic. That'd be so cool. Again, seen it on the PC. You can stand here and see 3 or 4 things all going by, and it's more layers, please. It's a very swanky looking machine, though. Oh, I didn't know it had the destination boards up there as well. That's pretty cool. And first class. Those are cool wee cabins. Right, better nash up to the back to the cab. Come on, open.
Schließvorgang eingeleitet.
Right, off we go. It's an awfully expensive way to transport 12 Germans, yes. So it's a fairly straight run into Munich, I think, but we'll probably get a wee bit of signalage on the way in. Ah, but the driver's not German's edgy. Should be prepared to see signals telling you to slow down up here, and the trick is picking it out from all the other ones that you sometimes see. not certain if it's always the exact same one that's, that starts the sequence. I'm sure occasionally that one's the one that starts it. Oh, another train over on the left there. Oh, tracks have all disappeared again. Marvellous. Holy crap, everything's disappeared. Anytime you like, game. This has never happened before. Well, that was good. Good job. Jesus Christ, that's just shit. Not even going to attempt to defend that one. That's just pish. Right. So that happened because I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. I couldn't see any signals or anything like that. That's aye. That's the. I mean, I've seen some jank along here, but that's by far and away the worst. I wonder if it's because I'm streaming at the same time, and it's maybe just I'm asking a bit too much of the system. I mean, it's a launch day PlayStation 4 as well, so it's not even whatever tiny little bit of oomph the Pro gives it. But that's not to excuse it, because I mean the game is in pretty shape. Pop in and stutter at the best of times for most of us along here. I've seen stations take a while to render in, but I've never had the whole thing disappear on me like that. Christ, I thought I was playing Cyberpunk for a second. Too soon. Just in case I upset anybody there, I actually do have Cyberpunk. I have played it. It's... yeah. I'm not hating on it. We just could have waited until it was ready, that's all I'm saying. Kinda glad I'm about to finish this now that I've opened that particular can of worms, now that I'm being honest. I really didn't think that one through. Might still just about make it on time though, despite the emergency stop. Oh yeah, I don't think you would see anything like that happening on the PC version of it. I think even if I was running this on a PS5, from what I've seen of it running on the new systems, it would be not having these issues, because the machine seems to automatically, or the game seems to just make use of whatever memory is there. PS5 users seem to be having a great old time with it. That was by far and away the worst I've seen. At one time. I mean, I've had short stretches of track disappear. There's that station, obviously I called it out before we even got there. I'm not used to that not spawning in. But for an entire suburb of Munich to disappear in one go, that's something. More or less on the money. Right, there we go.
Türen geöffnet.
Doors open, brakes. It's easier than you think to accidentally hit this buffer as well, just because of the really spongy brakes on this machine. There's a train across the track, Andy. That's a new one. I've come across a stationary train at the start of a thing before, but I've not had that particular accident happen. Still, we got there on the end, and I think I was still on time, even with the unplanned stop, which for once I can say, at least it wasn't my fault this time. How would you put that on a form? Reason for unexpected stop. Half the city disappeared.
Schließvorgang eingeleitet.
Right. So, that's us done rapid transit, and from there we carried on down to Munich, and that is also 15 minutes after I sort of hope to end this. So, that's where we're going to call this one. That's another 2 down. So next time, do one of these. From here you could connect, quite easy to get back up to, you would go via, you get a train via heading to Nuremberg. You could transfer and actually get yourself onto the Gmunden line, where we'll join the main Spessartbahn. We'll take that west, where we'll head for the Ruhr Valley, and then we'll end up taking a little trip round to the Ruhr Valley before heading to Aachen at the end of it all. And after that, that will only leave us the really fast ones. And as I've said, hopefully we'll have a new one as well by then. But yeah, so that was the, where are we? This is the 6th part, isn't it? This is the 6th part of the grand tour of all the Train Sim World 2 routes thus far. I'm still not sure exactly how many parts it's going to end up being. But I will be doing the next one fairly soon. As always, I had a great time driving that one, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. And in the meantime, you lot look after yourself. Thanks very much to those of you who watched it live, and to anybody watching it later, thank you too. And I'll catch you guys soon. And if I don't get back on again in the next day or two, enjoy your weekends. Tatty bye for now.